Now, Micheál, let's talk about your work within Galway City when you were engineer with Galway Corporation. Is it true that you saved Terryland Castle from total collapse?
Yeah, I played a big part in I think in preserving that wonderful structure, and it gives me great joy at present to see the wonderful work that's been carried out on that, and they have the technology and the money and which makes it possible. But only for that bit of work I did down there,
yes,
they wouldn't be. They'd be only half the technology and the money and which makes it possible. But only for that bit of work I did down there,
yes,
they wouldn't be. There'd be only half it left, I'd say.
Yeah, if even that, because it was your good self that coordinated the installation of that steel girders, wasn't it? That.
Oh yeah. Well, anything we were doing, we had to do it on a shoestring.
Yes.
And I got steel girders from the Galway Metal Company that had been recycled steel from the railway stations that were being demolished around the country.
Yes.
And then we got sleepers that had probably come from could be Europe, where they were replacing all the lines.
Yes.
And instead of putting in scaffolding there for a short time, costing a fortune, I went for something that would be there for quite some time. It was there for 20 years,
yeah.
And I kept the level of the scaffolding about a metre below the proposed floor level,
yeah.
so that the beams could be put in quite easily, you know.
Yeah.
So, but things caught up with me then,
Mila Bucas, I mean, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have what we have today. As you say, there's a lot of good work has been added on thanks to your fantastic initiative at that time. And also you did a lot of work too on the old Victorian waterworks, which was really, I would think, the birthplace of modern Galway, because that's where the water came for the taps of the factories, of the colleges, of the schools and homes. That really was the beginning of modern Galway in the 19th century. And that Victorian structure, you did a lot of preservation on that, did you?
I did. I'd say after the famine, and the public health acts that came in around 1880 or so, all the local authorities had to make provision for good quality potable water. So there was a water connection from the Corrib in as far as where the waterworks is now. It was called Jordan's Folly, Jordan Island, Jordan's Folly.
Yes.
And they use that water as a headrace to drive the two turbines that are there, and the dike then from Galway town up from Mudkey up as far as the waterworks held a level high in the river, and then it drained out into the Terryland Valley that ran across your great wood down to Pullawarning.
Yes, yes.
So the cheap power.
Yes.
And
hydropower and renewable energies. Now that we're talking about them, they had it then.
They had it then, yeah. And I said that there'd be great scope as well down there in that Terryland Valley with a fantastic woodland.
Yes.
That's getting maturing continuously.
Yeah.
To put in some sort of water harnessed with some sort of a miniature
yes.
Interpretation. Like, you know, the dike is there.
Yes.
The corporation have the land, and it's no big deal making use of it.
Yes.
You know.
Some of us, Micheál, would love to see the waterworks building that you helped preserve become an interpretive centre for the waterways of Galway and for the forests of Terryland Forest Park, with toilets, with cafe, with a gallery, with a cycle rental facility. Wouldn't it be great to have that as a hub for green and blue?
I think that'd be fantastic, because if you go on an outing anywhere, you have to have little interludes here and there with excitement. You have to go from A to B. There has to be something to see, and like once you're in the park, and then you know there's a waterworks museum there and a turbine working here, and it makes the place very interesting.
Absolutely.
It's like going into a town. Like, I mean, people come into Galway and they always want to explore different places.
Yes.
You know, get off the rail line.
Exactly. Off the beaten track, Micheál, I suppose.
Enormous. In fact, there's Paul Duffy, a great engineer and a great historian, and he was talking about the old oil engine. It's about 1928, I think, or so, and he says he thinks that it's the only engine of that type that's still in position in Europe.
Yeah, and that's still in the and that's kind of an important aspect of our history, that engineering heritage that we should preserve, and it was the foundations, as we said, for modern Galway. And I understand now where you were born, where you went to school, and where you went to college, that you were surrounded by the waterways. And you obviously have a big fascination with that. And a few months ago, you went with me into the back of the Bish to look at the actual waters between that and the presentation. Yeah. Yes. So that has always been your love, is the waterworks and the waterways.
Yeah.
As an engineer.
Well, Margaret was one of my big loves, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm the non-humanist aspect. Sorry, go on, Eshka. Of course, yes, exactly.
It's at the turn of the last century, around 1900, there's 2,500 horsepower been taken from the Corrib.
Wow.
And it's a crying shame that we haven't something to dedicate it to all those people that got a great living and work from breweries and distilleries and mills, and we should get some exploit that historical link, instead of looking through books and books about things that are written. Like, you have to see it in the flesh. And with great opportunity there, like behind the Bish there, around the University College, taking over that place, and there's great scope now, you see. And I keep telling people, but I'm not good at selling myself or my ideas. And but I mean, it's
I think your message is getting across now, Micheál, because hydropower, water power, its time has come. The whole world now is looking at alternatives to fossil fuels, and renewable energies is uppermost in people's thoughts. And as you've said so many times, Galway is strategically positioned to actually utilise the potential of that huge volume of water going through. And you explained to me once, and maybe you could explain to the listeners, about why the Dyke Road was built, the actual reasoning behind it back in the 1840s.
Oh yes, the Dyke. There was a James Mann, civil engineer, about 1840 or so. He did a study of Galway, and he proposed to build a dyke from Wood Quay up as far as where the waterworks is now, and for two reasons. One was to provide navigation from Corrib out to the open sea, and the second one was to improve the mill power in Galway. The mill power would be quadrupled by building this dike, and before that was built, all of the Terryland Valley would have been flooded in winter time, and the dike has provided all that land now for this wonderful forest that we have, the envy of every part of the country. And one thing before I forget it is about the Galway River, as it's called, is only about half kilometre long, and it cascades from Terryland Castle out down to the Claddagh, and the reason it's cascading there is because there's a sill of hard rock that prevents the lake cutting itself down into, there's a natural cascade there, and that's been updated and improved. And
very good. So that's known as the Galway River, that particular stretch. Yeah, and also you did an amazing thing there at Mill Street. You rebuilt a water wheel, did you?
Oh yeah, Mill Street there. We built. We put a new wheel where there's an old wheel. One time, I've never seen the old wheel there working, but I got the Anchor team to build the wheel. We got the wooden paddles from the Charles Stewart Parnell estate down in Wexford, and I think on St. Patrick's Day at one stage we put the wheel up on the trailer. I can't remember but and now it's in position, but somebody interfered with the bearings, but it can be upgraded quite easily. No big deal. Like all you want to clear a bit of space around it, and
it's a great showpiece, because I brought schools down many's the time to look at it and see it in situ. So you got the actual wood from the Charles Stewart Parnell estate in Wicklow, and you got a group from Anco that is now forced to actually do the actual the construction. So well done. But actually, one of my favourite constructions that you were involved with, and I think it's changed the potential for the Dyke Road to become a walking and cycling way, is those beautiful footbridges that you put in beside the waterworks. And there's a story about where you got the metal for that.
Oh yes, yeah. That stone bridge at the waterworks would have been built perpendicular to the watercourse, and of course with cars now it's different. There's I went out to Galway Metal Company and got this lattice work that had come from some footbridges over railway crossings, and got installed them there. And I think they're very much in keeping, like with the old waterworks that's there since about 1880 or so.
Yes.
And people can walk across there in safety.
Absolutely, and it cuts down access vehicle traffic. So well done you, because a lot of people looking at it, including myself, thought they were part of the original waterworks structure because of their look. So you were a great man, Micheál, for the actual recycling. So you got those out in the metal company, wasn't Northmore, and it's also where you sourced what was old girders from railways that to save Terryland Castle. So as you said, you had to work off a shoestring budget for many years, in all honesty. So thank you for that. And tell us about your role in establishing the municipal museum at the Spanish Arch. Where was it first located, and where did you get the artefacts that populated the original museum?
It was started by Claire Sheridan in what we call Comerford House beside the Spanish Arch. And Claire Sheridan was a niece of Winston Churchill, and she was a great artist, like, you know. And she got a doorway someplace, and which is there at present, like the old museum. And she wanted a high ceiling then as well, and she got a helical stairs up. So when I started the corporation, then I was always my eye open for things that I thought was important. Like a lot of the councils didn't they were more concerned about their own problems in their own areas and often. But I must say that there were when I got some of them airborne, they came on board then. But I had to do an awful lot of enterprise work myself to achieve these. But that museum then is I can't remember how much was in it at the time.
So did you work with Claire Sheridan in setting up the museum?
No, I never.
Oh, you inherited. No. You kind of stepped in on behalf of the corporation.
It was closed,
it was totally closed.
There was nothing.
And you got it opened as a museum.
I opened it up, and I used to have the late Bill Scanlon. I don't know how I got to know him. He was a friend of Alice O'Donnell, and I said to Bill, I said, you might come in for a couple of weeks and give it, set it up and see. So
as curator.
He came for a couple of weeks and he was there about 3 or 4 or 5 years,
And he was the son of the lighthouse keeper, was he?
He was the lighthouse keeper,
yeah. So he had a good interest, like your good self, in the in water heritage, be it marine or be it the rivers and the lakes. So well done. And also you had had responsibility too for getting Merlin Woods and Barna Woods open to the public. Was that the case?
Yeah, with Barna Woods, what happened was my good friend, late Brian Callaghy, was a senior planner at the county council, and some developer wanted to build a few houses there, you see, and Brian then, being very concerned about the environment, he went to the county manager, Seamus Keating, and he talked him into purchasing that wood. And so when the 1984, when the Galway borough was extended by 7,000 acres and 7,000 people, it became under our remit. So I spotted, and I brought Seamus Keating out one day and got the okay from him to develop it tastefully.
So fairly fantastic vision.
Happiest days of my life,
and that was Barna.
And I was out there even 4 weeks ago when my daughter was home from Sydney for 3 or 4 weeks, and I hadn't been in there for about 25 years or so, and I was blown away by the beauty of the place. Trees falling down and leaning over, and the foliage on the ground is just something
and
else.
The little stone bridges and so forth, well done. That was an amazing contribution to the greening of Galway City. And what about Merlin Woods?
Merlin Park Wood then, I got wind of the fact that culture were sort of downsizing. They're trying to concentrate on economic wood sectors. Normally out in the middle of nowhere, but places near the town, and the ground is very bad out there for for planting, like, and when the Land Commission divided up all the estates, they gave all the potential woodlands to culture, you see. But the wood was never any good there, like, you know. But so anyway, I put two and two together and wrote to the culture, and correspondence took place, and then poor Donny O'Donoghue, he's gone now as well, and he made some deal with them, like, and they were happy to see them go into good hands. Like.
Yes.
And,
that was great. So you actually are responsible for the green lungs of the city. On one side Barna, on the other side Merlin, and also in between with Terryland Forest Park, even though that came later with people like myself. I mean, you got the entrance, the bail, with the waterworks and with Terryland Castle. So fantastic. So that is an amazing legacy. But one of the greatest defining physical characteristics of modern Galway are the series of 19th century warehouses near the docks and the narrow streetscapes, including Quay Street and Middle Street. Is it true that you had a key role in saving them from being knocked down and replaced by modern office blocks?
There was a fair amount of stuff knocked down, like, and I spoke against it at the time, but there's one place in particular that I take some credit for, would be the grain store. On the old development plans that proposed could continue St. Augustine Street right through the grain store into Ayr Square. That was on the maps, like, you know. So
and what was going to happen to that?
The end of that would have been knocked, you see, and I don't exactly. They're going to knock that anyway, so anyway, I intervened anyway, and there's no big problem, like, you know.
Yeah, not now, but I mean, if it was knocked down, it would have redefined the whole shape of that area. It's such a large, beautiful,
it's a beautiful
heritage
place,
building.
I often go down there with people and I say, it always makes me feel good to see the fact that that's still there.
And rightly so.
And in that warehouse then, they'd be carrying 200 sacks of grain from the one floor
to the next.
To the other. They have to bring it up to the top and throw it and dry it. And
strong people in those days, yeah. Hard work. Mícheál, tá grá mór agad den teanga Gaeilge. Inis dún cén áit agus conas a tarla sin.
Well, nuair bhí mé an scoil, bhí mé in aig chuile ábhar agus ceapna go raibh sé an Gaeilge traicáilta freisin, like, you know. So nuair bhí mé gobar in London ar 3 or 4 bliain, bhí mé géisteach le daoine ar fud an domhan agus cainte theangain héin agus ceapan go chuir sé sin seach orm agus so bhí Gaeilge go maithir ó dúchas ach ní raon Gaeilge má mháthair. So man bhfuil Gaeilge ag a mháthair bhí bhaid Gaeilge ag de páistí. So chum sim mai log anamplacha sa tíir seo tá siad an Saviour ar fad chuile cosú leis bhí cainte maidin faoi an Ukraine agus Belarus mar dúirt féin sin béal ó Europe go dtí an Rúis ach ní thula mé gur páisróise bhí annach ach an Belarus béal an béal dearg tá sé chuile áit agus an ceol agus tá Tashan Urwan be Gwega Kangathilishan Poctus, like, you know, Agus on Chiran several nish, Agus on Shangan on descriptive, you know, place names. I know the small captain, like, you know.
Think of. Michal, Guramaga, there's no doubt, Michal, that you've had such a strong influence at so many aspects of Galway city and county life, be it in the Chonga, be it in the arts, be it in engineering, be it in heritage, be it in sustainable development, be it in the promotion of renewable energies. You are what we used to call the Renaissance man. You go through so many areas. So Gurav Mila Mahagut Makara Osan Uber Intak Arena to turn Ninja Fada.